Hey everyone, it's Kyle from Cool Collectibles back again for another review. This time it's the Asmus Toys 1/6 scale Boromir from their Lord of the Rings series. And overall I have to say this set is pretty damn good. The head sculpt probably isn't quite up to the high standards of Hot Toys at this point in time. But the costuming, the use of materials and the accessories I think are right up there with the best in the business. The packaging, I'll just get him out of the way. The packaging is the stock standard that they've been designing for this particular series. So you get the cover art there. I will note that this particular version did not include a cardboard insert with the edition size and numbering. They did do that for most of the others, I think. Legolas, Gandalf and the Hobbits, I think, all had that. So I'm not sure why they didn't do that for Boromir, but just something to note that there is no edition size on this particular release or numbering. Just get that out of the way. The accessories, it does come with the standard base, which is I guess just your stock standard base, so not too bad there. The shield is really nicely done. It's not metal, it is a plastic shield, if I can actually get some focus, but the detailing is really nice. So I do like the sculpting and paint application on the silver wash and dirt wash on the outside rim there. And the detailing on the gold on the inside here is very nice. It does have the wood finish on the inside, and it does have this, I guess, a fake leather strap, and they've sort of glued this outer sort of detailing on it, and with that patterning, which is quite nice too. And this buckle here, I don't think that's metal, but it does feel fairly sturdy, and you do have a specific hand in the accessories like that to get in there. So I would recommend heating these up with some hot water before putting it on there and trying to get it on the figure. So the shield itself is quite nice. You do get the Horn of Gondor as well, and the detailing on this is pretty nice as well. I do love the sort of white paint application there, which really does give off that ivory look, and the detailing on these sort of gold and silver sections are quite nice too. The instruction manual does have a warning about how delicate these little pins are, so just be careful there. This strap does have both ends of it tied on there, so hopefully you don't tug on this too much and break anything off. But I do think it's a little bit too short to sort of have around his neck or his arm, but all in all it doesn't look too bad, so pretty happy with that. The two best accessories are the weapons here. So you get the little this dagger here and I guess the broadsword, and they are metal, which is quite nice. So I think the Legolas, no, not the Legolas, the Aragorn sword may have been metal as well, but I can't remember if Gandalf had a metal sword, but Sting for Frodo was plastic. I think they might have been doing a reissue with a metal Sting, but just the added weight and the added sort of quality to the piece is really nice. The hilt here is nicely detailed. Love the sort of patterning there, the design there, and the dagger itself is also really nice with that gold highlighting and the hilt, and so beautifully done. I think Hot Toys could learn a thing or two from these guys. The latest sword that I got was from, I guess, the Wonder Woman. Now I guess the Wonder Woman was a little bit complicated due to the printing on the blade itself, with the whatever the characters are. So I guess that might be a bit more complicated to do, but overall I think if it was up to Hot Toys would have just cheapened out and went with a plastic sword. But Asmus here have done the right thing and made a beautiful sword and dagger. The larger coat that he wore before he got the elven one is very nicely done. The material and the patterning on the outside here is really nice. How accurate that is to movie, I guess I haven't checked, but the overall material is nice. It's soft and smooth on the inside here, and it's got that patterning on the outside, and the hood here, there's no wire or anything, and I guess with this strap here it is pretty hard to get it over his head, and the pins here, but it does look quite nice. I'll just put him up on the stand and put it over his shoulders. Hold on. With the larger cape, I do find that it is a little bit bulky. You're meant to take the head sculpt off, but with the strap there, you can sort of get it under his chin, sort of futz around with it. So it does sit a little high on the shoulders. People can probably futz it better than I can, but it does look a bit large on him. The instructions say that you can sort of get the shield over his shoulder and onto the back, but I would probably recommend not doing it with this larger cloak on and doing it with the thinner one. So the thinner one here, if I just get it over his chin there. So the thinner one is pretty much the same one that you get with all the other figures, I think, except for maybe Gandalf. I think Legolas and Aragorn both have this same sort of cloak. It's a nice sort of really soft, velvety, almost velvet-like green material here, and the little leaf there. And it looks like they've tried to make it orientated in that horizontal direction. And I just noticed that mine has a hole in it, which is unfortunate. I'm not sure if that's deliberate. Surely that can't be deliberate. But I just noticed that there's a hole there. So I might have to contact Asmus on that as well. It's a shame about that. But essentially you take off the head sculpt, and because it's such a thin material, you probably would have seen it on some of the other figures, it sort of lays on the shoulder much nicer and across the front of the neck. So, and I guess for consistency across the whole fellowship, I might have all of them displayed with that cloak on. The rest of the accessories comes with these gloved hands as well. So as I was saying before, there is one to hold the shield. This one's the sword holding hand, and a couple of closed fists and open hands there. And he does also come with some ungloved hands as well that you can see here. So plenty of posing options. I'm not sure yet on how difficult they are to remove and swap out, but as always with these hands, I would definitely recommend dipping them in some hot water first, and then just to soften them up and then swap them out. The paint application on these hands isn't too bad, so you do sort of get the variation in skin tones and the veins there, but overall I'll probably be using the gloved ones. But onto the figure. Alright, we may as well start with the head sculpt, and I have to say the likeness itself is not 100%, and I guess first impressions are you might not immediately recognize who it is if he's displayed on his own and not with the rest of the fellowship. So I'd probably say it's maybe a 70% sculpt, but once all set up with his gear, most fans will probably be able to recognize who it is. And I think the likeness itself really comes more depending on the angle and the lighting. So I think there are definitely some angles where the likeness is much better than maybe others. I think the beard work is pretty good. Almost maybe a little bit too clean. I guess with the hair itself, you can sort of futz it around. I'll just quickly show you underneath here. You can sort of see the bottom of the sculpt there. So they've got these strands coming down vertically on either side of his sideburns there to sort of cover that. And then these strands can sort of be futzed around to fall forward and closer to his head like that. So I think once you sort of futz around with it, the likeness is maybe 70-80%. So overall, in terms of the consistent quality across their Lord of the Rings series, I think it's probably not as good as the Legolas sculpt, but probably on par with Gandalf and Aragorn. So in the scheme of things, I'm happy with the overall consistency and the quality. So I can't complain too much, particularly for them being the only ones that have taken on the challenge to get the whole fellowship done, with Gimli coming up next. This outer cloak or coat here is like I'm not sure what material this is. It's like a very thin, almost a parachute type material. So it's like a vinyl type material almost not really leather-like, but it is a nice thin material, and I do like the way they've done this sort of silver lining. And the dirt wash on the bottom here is pretty nice as well, so that actually gives a nice bit of realism to an otherwise very clean cloak. So I do like that. Now these clasps at the front I think are glued together. The one at the top is not attached, I think just so that you can sort of move the head and get access to some of that area. But these two I don't think are unclaspable, if that's even a word. So I'm not going to bother trying to take this off. And I guess to do that you'd have to take off this belt as well, which is sort of tied back here somewhere. Maybe not. I think it's just wrapping around here, which is a shame, I guess. I think in the movie he might have had this off where you could see just the undercoat, potentially. I'm not quite sure. I'll have to go back and check the movie. But this undercoat, this red one here, is actually very, very nice. I love the way they've done the gold detailing, and it's very clean. So I'm not sure quite how they've done that, but it looks very nice, and it's a nice soft material as well, and that extends down to the legs here with these bits at the front. So there's quite a few layers of this. So there's this outer layer, this inner coat, he's got his pants. I'm not sure if he's got anything else underneath this red thing, but again the pants are similar in quality to the Legolas and Boromir, Aragorn pants. There is something underneath this red shirt. There is this chainmail. So underneath here, if you can just sort of see it in that gap there, the suits, or at least the arms, or maybe the torso, are covered by this sort of chainmail suit, and that's like it's almost like a see-through. You can sort of see the underlying body underneath almost. So there you can see the gaps through that chainmail. So it doesn't really restrict the articulation at all, and it does look pretty damn good as well. So I love that detailing. So there's probably three or four layers of clothing on this particular figure. So it's not short of detail from Asmus here. So definitely love their attention to that detail. The only sort of gripe that I might have are these boots. They are a pretty hard plastic. I think the mold itself is quite nice, so you can sort of get a feel for their design there. But I really would have preferred a sort of softer leather type material where you can really get that ankle articulation going. I think the best they've done for that was probably the original Aragorn. The original Aragorn set had some awesome boots, and maybe even the Gandalf figure as well. The Legolas one had swap out boots that were quite hard, and so there was very limited articulation there, and that's the similar approach they've taken here, which is a shame. I'm not going to try and bend these too much to see if there's any sort of ankle rocker motion there, just in case I snap something. But most of the time I'll probably have him in a fairly static museum pose, so it probably won't matter too much. But just something to note if you're trying to get them into dynamic poses. The sword sheath here is quite nice. It's not metal or anything, but the moulding itself is pretty nice in its detailing and paint application. And there's the sheath for the dagger as well. So the detailing in the belt here is very nice. And I don't think any of it really restricts the articulation. The arms can go out fairly wide. You get the usual double jointed elbows, and the knees and the legs move quite a bit as well. I guess the forward motion seems to be a little bit restrictive. No, it's not too bad. And I think the knees, I'm not quite sure if that's a double jointed knee, to be honest. It feels like a single jointed knee. But you get at least a 90-degree bend, so not too bad there. And you do get the ankle, the thigh swivel as well, and the usual articulation around the torso. So the suit at the top here does restrict it quite a bit, so I'd go fairly easy, particularly with these clasps here on what you do there. So I think overall that is pretty much it. I think it'll take me a while to sort of futz around with him to get him looking the way I like, and together with the others. But once I do that, I'll definitely be posting pictures up on the Cool Collectibles Facebook page, so hopefully you can head over there and check that out. But hopefully you like that quick look at this new Aragorn figure. I think if you've been collecting the line from the start, this is pretty much a must-have to finally get close to completing the Fellowship, and they have promised that Gimli will be coming out in the next month or so for its pre-order, which will probably mean that it's maybe a July, August, Q3 2018 release. So I think, I guess just the prospect of being able to complete the Fellowship finally in 1/6 scale is something I've wanted for a long time, and the overall quality I am fairly happy with. So definitely congratulations to Asmus for getting this far, and hopefully they finish it off this year. So hopefully you like that. So hopefully you can click that like and subscribe button. I do have a whole bunch of reviews. I think I've been getting a few too many things in January. I didn't quite anticipate this much coming in, but I do have just the Hot Toys Doc Brown come in today, and also I still have the Transformers Masterpiece figures to review, and the Lego UCS figure set as well. So hopefully you can subscribe and stay tuned for all of that. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers. Bye.